Gentlemen, we're about to get started. Kindly find your seats, silence your cell phones, as I'm doing as well. And if we can close the back door, I greatly appreciate it. Thank you, Tammy. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. We are on the record. Today is Monday, the 22nd day of May in the year 2023. This is the City Caucus meeting of the Jersey City Municipal Council. We had a scheduled 4 p.m. start. The clock on my cell phone is showing 4:03 p.m. May we have a roll call for the commencement of this caucus? Councilperson Ridley. Councilperson Prinzary.
Here.
I had to look because you sounded far away.
Yeah.
Councilperson Baggiano. It's not here.
I don't.
Okay. Councilperson Saleh.
Here.
Councilperson Solomon.
Here.
Councilperson Gilmore is not here. Hey, Councilperson DeGise. Councilperson Rivera.
Here.
And Council President Waterman. Okay, we have 7 council members in attendance at 4:03 p.m. Council members and members of the public, we normally don't do this during the caucus meeting, but I find it fitting to do this. I would kindly rise for a moment of silence for my mentor and former city clerk, Robert Byrne. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that. On behalf of Council President Waterman, in accordance with the New Jersey Public Laws of 1975, Chapter 231, the Open Public Meetings Act, also known as the Sunshine Law, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by the posting on the bulletin board of the first floor of City Hall. The annual notice, which is the schedule of meetings and caucuses of the Municipal Council for the calendar year 2023, and filed in the office of the city clerk on Thursday, December 15th, 2022. In addition, at this time of its preparation, the agenda of this meeting was similarly disseminated on Friday, May 9th, 2023 at 4:30 p.m. to the Municipal Council, Mayor, Business Administrator, Corporation Council, and the local newspapers, and posted on the city's website so I can certify as to our total compliance with the Sunshine Law. Council President, I'm going to turn it over to you. Just make sure our mics are on, council members.
Thank you, Council President, council members. The Department of Public Safety has 6 resolutions and 1 first reading tonight. I don't think anything's too controversial. First, agenda number 10.29, resolution 23-400. It authorizes an award of a contract to Software House International through a co-op, the New Jersey Cooperative Purchasing Alliance, Bergen County Co-op, for the annual maintenance of the City of Jersey City Police Division and Fire Division InfoShare Public Safety. It's a temporary encumbrance of $411,309, and that's for any maintenance required on our InfoShare and our dispatch systems. Next is 10.30, Resolution 23-401, a resolution authorizing an award of contract to Safeware Incorporated for the GDB Cisco SmartNet annual support for our security updates. Again, it's through a co-op, U.S. Communities Government Purchasing Alliance. This is for all of our switches, including immediate replacement of any that burn out and go dead. It's in the amount of $91,000. It's in the operating account. This is a standard re-up. We do it every year to maintain those switches through the year. And again, we only spend what we need out of that $91,000. 10.33, resolution 23.404 is an authorization resolution authorizing the award of a contract to AT&T Mobility wireless devices and services under state contract for the Department of Public Safety, Division of Communication and Technology. This is $100,000 temporary. The potential cost of the account could go to $800,000, but it never does. It's for all wireless devices, all cell phones, all tablets, all computers in the cars, all computers in the fire trucks, the computer systems in the firehouse, anything that AT&T maintains, and the wireless services between them. Again, it's a continuation of an existing contract. Sticking with the fire department, 10.24, 23395 is a resolution authorizing the award of a contract to All Hands Fire Equipment for the purchase and delivery of various Akron brass pipes for the aerial ladders for the Department of Public Safety Division of Fire. They're the brass pipes that are attached to the top of the aerial ladders. It's just end of life, time to replace them. $33,000 is the total contract. And the only reason it's even here, it's a pretty standard one, but it exceeds the 17,500, and we want to do it all at once.
Director Shea, what was the number of that again? I'm sorry.
10.24, resolution 23-395.
Thank you so much.
I can continue. 10.25, resolution 23-396, again for the fire department, a resolution authorizing an award of contract to Safeware Incorporated for cleaning services for the firefighters' gear through the U.S. Communities Government Purchasing Alliance. Again, this is Omnia Partners. Temporary encumbrance is $1,000. The limit of the contract would be $150,000. This is the environmental cleaning of our firefighters' bunker gear, if it's possible. It's connected to the previous one we talked about a couple months ago, where we have to have a contract to replace the gear if it's put out of service through environmental contamination. This is the first step. So again, the limit of the contract is the $150,000, but there are years where this is zero because we don't deal with a fire that contaminates, that contaminates our equipment. So the first step is to try to clean it and move on. If it gets condemned, then we have to replace it with the contract we did previously. Okay, 10.26, resolution 23-397. This is just authorizing the award of the contract to Tomahawk Defense for our incident response exercise training. We've talked about these. We shoot for 4 a year, but in reality, we only get 2. We only do 2, one in this winter and one in the summer. It's an all hands UASI partners, fire department, police department, actual 3 drills for active shooter scenarios. It comes out of the one mistake on this, Council President, if I may. These funds are not from the capital account. As we've spoken for 10 years, this is paid for by the federal government. And finally, the ordinance 23-056. I believe it's on for a first reading. This is just amending and supplementing the Division of Police's off-duty program. And now that we're post-COVID and starting to have these need for this pop up again, the real change, we're asking for a change. Everything pretty much stays the same. We're just asking for a change to the rate of compensation for our police officers. It's currently $45 to $50 an hour. The rest of Hudson County is between 65 and 95. And the state police are over 100 for the exact same job and the exact same work. So we're asking to bring them up to 75, which we think is a fair number. It's not the lowest, it's not the highest, it's right in the middle of the compensation in Hudson County.
So just for some clarification, you have traffic enforcers added here. And my understanding is that that will allow for parking authority officers to do work. Is that correct?
Well, we always, yes. Yeah, good question. Traffic enforcers are added here. Theirs will go to $50. That's trained school crossing guards if they have the additional traffic training, or our traffic agents. That's a change we made about 5 years ago that's been really successful. They all live in Jersey City. It gives them an opportunity to make additional money on their days off and supplement their salaries if they would like to. And we always give the people, if it's safe, and if our traffic people approve it, we always give the contractor the option of the cheaper option if they're available.
And then there were some concerns raised around the, in particular for filming. Sometimes films come around and we cannot get 10-day notification. They have to make changes essentially on the fly if there's going to have rain or the like. So where will there be flexibility for, I know you can't do for every single department, but that's one that's got some very unique requests. So,
Flexibility in what way, ma'am?
but if they have to make a change in the shooting schedule, if they have to do a change of location, if a film is added short notice.
Yeah, we have that we manage that fairly well. We work with Stephanie as far as doing this. We just had some issues last week with a major production that's going on, in Jersey City. We can handle it. However, time is money to them too, and there's issues on both sides, so we have to make sure everybody respects the process and our citizens.
I understand the questions were raised to me, so that's why I'm asking you, because I've been on some of these
Yeah,
last minute phone calls. So just however we can make sure that there is clarity with what she needs versus.
and I mean, if push comes to shove, like the one we just had, I'll show up personally and deal with the production assistant and make sure we're treating them fairly
Correct.
as per the.
With instructions and events and the like, I understand because you have to plan ahead. And then finally, is there any conversation to moving with the ability to pay via credit card? So I understand right now it's check only.
No, I haven't done that. As you know, we've had problems in the past. We don't want to chase people for their money. We like bank checks that go right into the city's account so the city knows it has the money. Remember, the city legally cannot pay this. So legally, we can't pay our police officers for doing off-duty work. So we really need to know that they've given us that money to pay them before we let the officers work. So credit cards that you could walk away from without paying, that's slightly problematic. I think for now, we're going to stick to bank checks.
Okay, thank you.
Um,
But if you pay with a credit card, Jake, unless they contest the charge, it's right then and there. And sometimes, and again, I'll go back to film, these film companies, they come in, if there's a discrepancy, then they leave and there's no way to do it. So I think it's worth having the conversation because with the credit card, it's immediate payment and we can put the fees on them.
Okay, all right, I'll look into it.
Director, for the off-duty program for the officers, this money is paid for by who? The individual that's doing the construction or that utilize the service, correct?
Yes.
So, how do we get to 75 if the state troopers are doing the same exact work that the officers will be doing? How do we get to the 75 number and not the number that they're getting? Because for me, when I'm looking at it, I'm looking at more police officers being able to be on the street that's from our police force. So in the event something happens, these officers are familiar with the area. So if they need to assist in an emergency situation, they'll be able to do with more knowledge versus a state trooper.
Yeah,
And-
the number, as far as I know, which is the truth, the number was suggested. Sometimes it's more than 75, like if it's a Sunday or a holiday or that's after 4 p.m. But the base rate is 75. And again, we talked to the union. The union kind of put that number up there and said that it's midpoint in Hudson County. So they thought that was a fair number that didn't display them trying to go to the top. And also they didn't want to be on the bottom. They wanted to be like right in the middle.
Oh, so that was something that the union requested.
Yeah, that suggestion came from them to move to this. Not saying they won't want to go higher in the future if the state trooper goes up, if the state police go up again. But for now, with everything that's happened, COVID, inflation, everything else, we think this 75 is a fair number. And again, it could reach as high as 90, depending if it's on a Sunday or after 4 o'clock or in the middle of the night.
So well, we shouldn't have instances where we see Caucus police and all these other police departments doing off-duty programs anymore.
You might, because remember, some of these jobs, and especially the ones the state police do, they might start with PSE&G in Secaucus and go from Secaucus to Hoboken to Jersey City.
They're already.
And sometimes they run with them. And it makes more sense for one person to just keep going. The jobs in Jersey City are pretty much us and the sheriff.
Director, just to confirm, you said the traffic enforcers had already been used. This is just a cleaning up of the ordinance. Is that right?
Yes, we've been using traffic. We've been putting up I'm sure you saw it on the races through
Yep.
your thing and everything, and it's been a big success. And it lets us lets us hire people that are, in my opinion, underpaid.
And then this is administrative change for the law department and for you as well. Would you all be comfortable with indexing the rates to inflation so that it would basically go up every year with the cost of living? It's a small thing, but it would.
I'm going to have to defer to the law department on whether that's legal or whether we could do it. I don't know.
We can look into it and get back to you, see if we're able to do that.
I mean, I have no objection. I just don't know.
Sure. Okay, thank you, Brittany.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council President. Thank you, council members.
Oh,
Before we move on, I just wanted to mark Councilperson Gilmore present at 4:09 PM. So we have we have 8 council members present at 4:09. Thanks. Cole?
Good afternoon, Council President. I'm here to present 2 resolutions. Resolution 10.12, resolution number 23-383. This one is a payment of a claim for Save On LLC for a cost-saving program that we have for our active employees for our prescription coverage. The next one is orders number 10.13, resolution number 23-384. This one is to actually award the contract to Save On LLC to continue to provide such cost-saving prescription benefits for active employees for the duration of the contract throughout 2023. Yeah.
Cindy?
President, council members, I am here on just one item today, item number 10.15, agenda item, resolution 23-380. This is a resolution authorizing the award of a contract to a company called Aquatic Arts for the replacement of the pedestals at 2 splash pads across the city, one at Terrace Avenue and one at Woodland Gallagher.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Good evening, Council President and council members. Good to see you again. I'm here on the second reading for the item ordinance 23-046 regarding the property at Longwood Lake in Jefferson Township, which consists basically of a dam holding back a lake in a recreational area surrounded by many homes. I apologize, I wasn't here for the original presentation, but our legal counsel was here, as were some of the members of our finance department, and I believe the city's legal department also weighed in on the matter at hand. Are there any additional questions since the introduction?
The one,
Basically a burden, right?
this the one that like a housing complex, they use the water,
Homeowners Association,
homeowners association.
that's right.
All right, so, essentially the plan is for this dam to be transferred to them after the remediation or whatever work is done, correct?
Ultimately, yes, that's correct. Yep.
And any proceeds from the dam will come back to the city?
I don't think it's structured that way, but that is certainly open to negotiation, no? Proceeds. The transfer of the property comes to the MUA
Yes,
and we
but you
perform the remediation.
then you rehab it. So what happened if you turn around and sell it to them for, I mean, I don't know what the price assessment is, but if there should be any proceeds, the city should get something.
John, you know about this. Go ahead.
Yeah, there was no discussion of selling this for profit, so it's unlikely that there's going to be a significant amount of money coming back from this, but in all likelihood, whatever money we did realize for it would probably go back to the MUA to offset their remediation costs.
I think it should be noted that it costs the MUA 50,000 approximately per year while the condition is satisfactory. So anytime it's deficient, it costs us above 50. 50 is the base number, goes up every year. So essentially, we're getting rid of a liability for all of us that the DEP left us with. So
I mean, I'm confused. So we're gonna fix it and then we're gonna give it to the association. Why don't you just give it to them and tell them to fix it?
yeah, so that's the thing. They won't take on $1 million liability.
But they'll take it for free once it's complete. So
Correct.
why don't we fix it and charge them to use it? Can we do that?
No, I don't think so.
They're not going to have the money to do that right now. On top of which, we sold this to the DEP about 20 years ago, little over 20 years ago, and they took every piece of property that was there with the exception of this dam and have since built the lake. So I think if we were to take the position that we just weren't going to do anything with it, or if we were going to decommission it, we'd be walking right into a lawsuit with the DEP and be on the hook for the repairs later anyways.
Touche.
Sorry, just so, because I know this one's a little weird where,
Yeah.
why are we spending this much money to fix something that we have no use for? We're under the legal obligation to either fix it or decommission it. If we decommission it, aside from the litigation that will likely bring on, there's also the environmental remediation that will come up after we spend the money to decommission it. So it's about the same cost upfront to either fix it or decommission it. But once all the environmental issues come up after we've gotten rid of the dam, that's going to be a lot more money. So it's actually a cost saver to fix it rather than going through the route of decommissioning the dam.
Anya.
Take care.
Oh,
So it's myself and Matt tonight. I have 3.5, 3.7, and 10.36. So 3.5 real quick. There is a checklist item when you're applying to the planning board for an application that requires you to get a zoning determination from the zoning determination letter from the zoning officer. The only thing that we're changing is that it's done by request of the planner who's reviewing it instead of mandatory requirement. If you've ever seen a zoning determination letter, it'll say exactly what the planner can say without having the applicant spend the extra $100 and having the poor zoning officer have to do another letter. That's simple. That's 3.5. 3.7 is allowing for interim uses in Route 440 Culver redevelopment plan. If you're familiar with the area, there are a ton of industrial buildings that are remaining. Most of our redevelopment plans allow for interim uses. So this is in between the time when development will happen. And this will allow those buildings to be repurposed for appropriate uses for those buildings. Right now, they wouldn't be able to do so. And then 10 point, I think I said 36, I don't want to misquote myself, is for the designation of a redevelopment plan for area in need of rehab. This is Fayette Avenue, which is right along Broadway. It's the whole stretch that goes along the train corridor, rail corridor. And the report from the planning board was to designate it an area in need of rehab. Main reason that we are using this tool is because we're hoping to do some offsite improvements. Hopefully we'll be able to work with the path and make that bridge, that the walking bridge, the pedestrian bridge that goes across. Hopefully we can improve that through the zoning.
Sorry, with regards to 3.5, so what's the process now for this determination letter?
I'm sorry, Councilman, I can't hear you.
For 3.5, what's the process now? What do they have to do? How does that process look?
Process now for the zoning determination letter, anybody can apply to the zoning officer, pay $100 and say, what can I do here? Or can I do this? Or we use those zoning determination letters for cannabis. Most of the times you're getting a letter before you get a license for cannabis for what's the sidewalk cafes, a couple of those things. This is separate. This is for only applications that are going to a planning or a zoning board. So they're already getting that level of review that the zoning officer would give them. So it's almost like we're trying to get rid of kind of duplication, basically.
Oh,
Okay, I'm here to speak on 3.6. This is a ordinance to the Powerhouse Arts District redevelopment plan. This was sent to the planning board by resolution 23-159. You've seen it before. The planning board did not change the language. This is now an ordinance to introduce the amendment language. This is addressing specifically the constitution of the nonprofit board that shall govern or control the theater. And it's the one that's going up right now off of Provost Street. And the next item that I'm on is 3.9, ordinance 23-055. This is an ordinance to the Municipal Council of Jersey City adopting the expansion and amendments to the Green Villa redevelopment plan. So this is in this area straddles both Ward F and Ward B. It's in between the MLK and West Side Avenue light rail stations. The amendments that are here are supported by recommendations in the master plan. And what is being done is that a portion of the area is staying in what's called Zone A, which is refers back to R1. There's a Zone B, which is mostly along Bergen Avenue on the west side of the street. And that refers to our residential commercial 3 zone. And then the portion across Kennedy Boulevard, as you get closer to West Side Light Rail Station, is in Zone C. That is already zoned R3. And what is being implemented by this redevelopment plan is the Affordable Housing Transit Development Overlay Bonus, which requires the creation of safer sidewalks, on-site affordable housing, and it also includes a bonus, so there is additional height permitted as well.
Was this?
Above is Ward F. Bergen Avenue, heading west is Ward B. So the more significant changes, Matt, are in the below Bergen Avenue, correct?
Yeah, I'd say everything that's really changing is west of Bergen Avenue, and anything east of Bergen Avenue is remaining as permitted.
This doesn't have nothing to do, I remember, or maybe I'm getting this wrong, but at one point, did this plan include the conversion of the public street into a private street?
That's right. There was, I think, a vacation ordinance before the council that was tabled.
Okay.
I don't believe that went through, but I don't recall.
Yeah, I think it did get tabled, so I don't know if this was, so this have something to do with it, but for the sake of this actual ordinance, it doesn't have anything with the conversion of public to private.
This ordinance is silent on that vacation, as that is a separate matter.
Me too.
Yeah, Council President.
Yeah, 3.2, and I'm here if there are any questions on that. So I think there's a second reading ordinance that was referred to planning board. Planning board presented a report and sent up a report to city council. And I believe now, I don't want to speak for the council, but I believe some of those recommendations have been incorporated into a new ordinance, which is 3.2 for introduction.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, they're just adding on what Matt said, and with Tammy, you sent an email that everyone should have received and included this memo, and that describes the summary of the changes to 3.2, which is the development fees. So 3.2 is basically the same ordinance that was before the council on April 12th, with the changes recommended by the planning board, with a couple of additional legal language, a change here, a change there, all of which is described in the memo. But they're all based on basically what the planning board discussed. And then also linked in that memo is the transcript, which Sean also forwarded to the full council, and the report that accompanied it. So all of that is available and accessible for everybody.
No more questions? Have a good night.
Hello, Council President, members of the council. Gigi Gaston, Division Director for the Division of Affordable Housing. I'm here on agenda item number 10.65, resolution number 23-436. It is basically a list that has been compiled of authorized administrative agents who can income certify and determine income eligibility for the units that we monitor. It is written in our ordinance that we have to produce this list to you and have you vote on it. So we are just basically complying with our own ordinance, saying that this is something that the division must do and keep this list. Just a little bit of background. Most of the units that we monitor, in fact, all of the units that we monitor are typically in new construction. They are unfunded, usually as a result of a redevelopment plan or some sort of zoning board resolution. So a lot of the developers and property managers that manage these units are for-profit developers that are running luxury units in the rest of the building, and they don't know how to income certify. So very often we've had to ask them to hire an administrative agent. So this list is very, very important to us so we can enforce our affordable marketing plan and the lease up and the lottery for the units.
So council members, just so you know, it's actually item 10.63. There was a couple of changes to the agenda before
Sorry.
caucus. No, please don't be sorry. So I just wanted to let the council know it's item 10.63, resolution 23-434.
Oh, okay. I printed this earlier this morning and it's right on the resolution.
No, Sean, that's wrong.
It is.
It's 10.65. She's correct.
That's the agenda that you guys must have printed out before I republished the agenda. No, you guys don't. I'll explain later, but go ahead, Gigi.
Right. In any case, what he said, what the city clerk has said, and are there any questions about the list? It's in Exhibit A. There are 4 of them for administrative agents that we're asking you to vote on and allow us to present that list on our webpage and to refer the developers to this list so that they can conduct the appropriate income eligibility activities. Okay, thank you.
John McKinney.
Good afternoon, council. Okay, the first one is item number 3.6. That's ordinance 23-052. This is for cultural affairs. I'm not sure if anyone from cultural affairs is here to speak on this tonight. Okay, this is basically.
I think Matt spoke on it from planning.
Okay. Got it. Okay, the next is 4.4, ordinance 23-042. This is authorizing the sale of an easement to PSE&G. It's a second read ordinance. I discussed this last time. Are there any additional questions on this one? No. Okay. 4.8 is the Longwood Dam. We can skip over that one. Okay, next is item 10.18, resolution 23-389. This is a resolution authorizing a license agreement, Public Service Electric and Gas Company for the use of block 19703, various lots on the tax map of City of Jersey City. These are a number of lots on Garfield Avenue, across the street from Berry Lane Park. They basically need to park some trailers and cars there to do work on the substation down the road. They're going to give us, I believe it's about $42,000 a year while they have it. It's a 3-year license agreement. The next is 10.49. That's a resolution removing a restrictive covenant that affects block 18203, lot 7, otherwise known as 1315 Olean Avenue. This was an old property that had a multifamily building on it that we sold at auction at one point, it looks like. And traditionally, we would put a restriction on the property that says it can't be sold without city authorization before a certificate of occupancy has been obtained for the property. The certificate of occupancy has been obtained, so it's a matter of releasing the restrictions for closing. Thank you.
Good afternoon, council members. I'm here to present 4 resolutions on behalf of Director Kears, who's not here today. The first resolution is resolution number 23-398, item 10.27. This resolution will authorize the award of a contract to Millennium Communications Group to provide a yearly block hour service contract for emergency service and routine maintenance to the city's Emergency Operations Center, also known as the EOC. This contract covers network operations, systems, audio and video assets associated with the EOC, as well as the mobile command vehicle, mass care rehab vehicle, and community resource unit. The total cost of this contract is $57,000 and is funded through the 2021 URC grant. Any questions?
Is this, I'm sorry. Is this regarding cameras we have placed in years past? Because we've put in a lot of new cameras with Millennium and aren't they covered by warranty, or, I mean, what would this service cover? Is there,
Councilman, I don't know
is it the new
specific
camera?
of this, but I will get in contact with Director Kears and I will email you that information.
No problem with it. I just wanted to
Okay.
clarify, because I know we put in a lot of cameras
Sure.
in the past few years. So I want to know if there's like a timeline for the old cameras that need to be maintained, or is. Okay, that's all.
Second item is,
He's got,
sorry.
were you gonna say something, Metro?
Just, Councilman, we've been doing these cameras since 2013, and they've been in tiers without getting into specific locations. They last about 6 years, maintenance free or routine maintenance, and then got to kind of cycle them out. There are instances where there's crashes and different storm related events that shortens the useful life, but that we'll have Kears give a little bit more update.
Okay, thank you.
all right, the second item is item number 10.28, resolution number 23-399. This resolution will authorize the award of a contract to Gray Shift LLC to purchase licensing associated with Gray Keir Forensic Access Tool for the JCPD Cyber Unit. This software facilitates the extraction of encrypted or inaccessible data from mobile devices associated with criminal activity. The total cost is $50,595 and is funded through the 2021 URC grant. Third item,
Sorry. Do we know what kind of cases or instances this would be used? Is it like ransomware? Like, let's say, there's a hacking incident. I have no idea. Like, is there any more information on this?
well, not that I have, but like I said, I'll get in contact with Director Kears.
Like what instance?
Get all the specifics,
Yeah, it sounds,
Yeah.
it sounds interesting.
I think these are the high sensitivity cases that they work with the cyber department, and just needs like an upgrade on it, but they do a lot of high profile cases there.
Right, the third item we have is item number 10.44, resolution 23-415. This resolution will authorize the purchasing agent to sell various vehicles at public auction. And last but not least, item number 10.45, resolution number 23-416. This resolution would authorize the award of an open-end contract to Lincoln Recycling Services, LLC, for the disposal of various waste types for the Department of Public Works Sanitation Division. This contract was publicly advertised on May on March 2nd, 2023, and Lincoln Recycling Services submitted sole bid in the amount of $618,000. A temporary encumbrance of $30,000 will be established under the operating account 01-201-26-292-314. And some of the waste types we're talking about are construction and demolition, sweeper debris, wood, tires, white goods, and Christmas trees.
Do you know how this compares to the prior contract?
Yeah, so this company had the prior contract, and so in 2021, we spent about a little over $500,000, and same thing again in 2022. It's an open-end contract, so, it depends how much, in terms of tonnage, that we take to the company.
Great. And this is a small thing. Can you just tell us how much sweeper tonnage we've deposited the last 2 years?
Sure.
Thank you. I just want to see if our new sweepers are picking up more.
Okay. I will email you that information.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we know where Lincoln Recycling puts everything after we've given it to them? Like,
Well, I mean, I think they take it to their dumping site.
do we know where exactly? I'm just interested.
Okay.
Okay.
I will talk to Frank Lamparelli and get you that information.
I'd like to know,
Okay.
Thank you.
But I'm sure they take it to a secure site,
Okay.
and that's governed by DP. Any other questions?
You, Danny.
Thank you.
Council President and members of the council, good evening. I'm here for item 10.6, 10.7, 10.8. The 10.6, a resolution to cancel the 2019 through 22 erroneous billing on this particular property. What happened is we have a cell tower on 34 Prospect. We construed the exhaust pipe as cell antenna. So we assess that exhaust pipe like a regular cell antenna. A lot of times this antenna are kind of disguised until somebody comes in and complain about our billing, the erroneous assessments we have on that. Item 10.8, this is an award contract to one of our appraisal company. Last time I was here for the Integra, which is an appraisal company, we hired pursuant to the RFP we have December last year. So we're hiring two appraisals company in case there is a conflict in terms of their assignments. So this award is for $75,000. Item 10.7, I think I jumped into 10.8. A resolution granting veteran exemption from local property taxation. Any veteran who is disabled or service oriented, once they have that award letter from the Federal Veterans Administration, they have exemption on their taxes.
Director, just going back to the contract, I think you said it, but can you just repeat it for me? How is this different than the one we approved a month or two ago?
The reason, as I said, we need to have like two appraisal companies, because these appraisal companies, sometimes they have a conflict of interest.
Okay, sure.
When you give them an assignment and certain properties.
And is this sort of is the second one, do we only use them in case of conflict, or do they both get about equal? And then, you'll use the other one in chance of conflict?
They have a kind of historical performances with the city or services. We know basically more of their kind of expertise.
Okay.
There are certain appraiser where they are expert in the waterfront area, and some are on the inner city.
Great. All right. Thank you, Ed.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Council President and Council members. Division of Immigrant Affairs has Agenda 4.7, Ordinance 23-386, 045. It's the second reading of the ordinance, Chapter 37, relating to Immigration Affairs Commission. And for this second reading, there is an additional amendment that's been proposed upon the recommendation of the law office, which is to replace the word in the name commission and replace it with committee. So it will read Immigration Affairs Committee. And that amendment is applied from section 1 of chapter 37 all the way through section 11.
Is there a reason for the change in the nomenclature from commission to committee? Like, is there certain powers ascribed to commission versus a committee, or?
The law office, to my understanding, they saw that it's more fitting for the efficiency of process, and it's less bulky in a way.
Is it because everything else is named committee in the city? Is that it? I mean, like.
Perhaps John McKinney could better answer that question.
Okay.
Just
Thank you.
briefly, because I
It
was
could
part of
have legal responsibilities and requirements, and this will just make the process flow a lot easier. Just like the initial 3 amendments that was proposed during the first reading, everything is just to streamline this committee.
And just to update, committee is internal, commission can be external.
Got it. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, thank you, Council.
Good afternoon, Council. Finance has a few items. So there's a few members from the Finance Department here to represent Director Gandula can't make it today. So I'm going to start with the first reading ordinance 3.4, bond ordinance providing for the acquisition and payment of purchase of a property with the lock and block for 17.2 million. So this is just the city guaranteeing the debt service on this property. So it's a transfer from JCRA to the city.
Sorry, Kyle, is it, so I understand it, in 3.4, what the bonds are transferring and the control of the property? Could you just describe, I guess, what's happening with the bonds here?
Yes, and we also have our bond counsel present if there's any specific details, but essentially, since the city's guaranteeing the debt on the property, they have to transfer the property to the city. So we'll own the property, and this isn't for any usage of it. That would have to come to council at a later date.
And how long has the JCRA owned this property?
I'm not too sure. Maybe John.
I'll get you the details, Councilman, but it's about 2 years. I think we did on this.
Okay.
And I think we remain tax exempt because we don't have a purpose for the property yet. So
Okay.
the city will be in ownership. We're already backing the bonds, and we'll come back to council for suggested use or purpose once the Hudson County Community Schools, Community College, sorry, vacates, which I believe they have it through the remainder of the next semester.
Got it. Okay. And is are we, just so I'm clear, are we issuing bonds for this, or are we just backstopping an existing bond?
Yeah, we're going to continue the short-term notes, so we're going to continue to backstop the existing bonds.
Okay, the second item for myself is 10.1, which is the standard temporary appropriations. Adopting the budget hopefully next month. So, but these resolutions will likely continue, to continue our standard operations until then. And John Mercer, our CFO, is here. He'll come and speak on 10.2 and a couple other items.
Evening, Council.
Evening.
First resolution, item 10.2, is resolution authorizing award of a contract to SHI for the purchase and implementation of Edmunds GovTech finance software. We have long outgrown our existing financial system, and so this will replace that system. The total is $229,546.44. Of that, about 100,000 is for training and implementation and modifications. The annual cost going forward will be about 3,000.
This used by.
Or if I could just add something quickly, Council. As many of you know, I've worked in finance for close to 8 or 9 years with the city. This system that we have now was in place at that time. It's very antiquated. A lot of stuff is done manually. You can't actually furnish reports. You have to call the vendor. A lot of nuances there. So we look to do this for a few years now. I guess 2 quick points. The first one is the vendor that we're choosing is used by over 300 municipalities within New Jersey. So they're very integrated in the New Jersey accounting system. And secondly, I promise you, unlike some of the issues we had with the payroll, we're going to make sure that both systems work simultaneously, and then we're going to adjust it and go live once we're fully ready. Included in that training, besides the Department of Finance, will be some of the fiscal officers that are assigned to the departments and some of the staff that's associated with the council and the clerk's office.
Are they helping to port over the old information? Because you're saying it's probably an Excel sheet, it's probably like in a myriad of folders.
PDFs.
And are they going to be providing guidance how to port all that information into the new system?
Yeah, so there are representatives here if you have any specific questions, but yeah, it's going to be about a 14-month engagement, and we're going to have to convert history, move everything over, and, you know, institute some more best practices as we go along.
Yeah, and just for a quick one-on-one here without getting granular, the state actually provides how we do the accounting of the flexible chart of accounts. So it's really just mirroring what we have into the new system, but we'll be able to analyze data and print reports and just do a lot more functions than we have available at the current vendor. The current vendor we have now only, I think, provides service to 2 or 3 municipalities at this point. So
It's not going to be like a light switch, right? Where we did with the unicorn. This is going to be, okay. And
not from the administrative perspective, and also the state wouldn't allow us to do that. They want to make sure that everything's soup to nuts. And you know, we've done some of this stuff with some of the best practice inventory and different items at the state, where we were actually the pilots to make sure it works. And we're going to do the same within our own administration.
Thank you.
Okay, agenda item 10.34, resolution 23-45. This is just a reso authorizing the tax collector to prepare and mail estimated tax bills for the 3rd quarter. Since we won't have the budget adopted in time by June 14th to mail them out.
Sorry, can I ask?
Item.
Sorry, I apologize, John. I have my, on that item, in terms of when the budget's passing, are we anticipating sending out estimated 3rd quarter bills, or are we anticipating just sending out the 3rd and 4th quarter bills together?
No, it's just estimated 3rd quarter.
And we don't think we can get the budget done by the end of June. So.
We're definitely optimistic. We just want to have this as a safeguard.
Okay.
We still have to go through some of the state review as well as the internal budget hearings.
And what's our what's our date to get the budget passed? So we, you know, whatever it's $40,000. It's not, you know, the biggest amount of money, but it still matters to taxpayers if we can get our budget done and avoid having to send out the estimated bill.
Yeah. What would be the date there, John, that we'd have to have a certified budget?
Yeah, I think
to
it's
avoid it.
June 14th or June 30th.
Okay. We'll get back to you.
Okay.
Hopefully it's June 30th, and maybe we could do that.
30th, that should be more doable.
Very helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. If we get the rate from the county board, so that's another factor. Item 10.35. This is just authorizing us to apply for and accept grant funding from the state and local cybersecurity grant program. This just came up recently, and we're pushing it because the application deadline is June 9th. This is just for some funding for additional cybersecurity. IT does a great job overall, but we can always do better. There's a total allocation to New Jersey of about $3.4 million. After we apply, we fill out an application and a survey, and they will tell us what we might be eligible for. So best case, they say, hey, you guys are doing everything perfectly. Worst case, they say, well, here's some things you could do better, and we're going to give you some grant funding. Item 10.50 authorizes an interlocal services agreement with the Township of West Orange for services of a municipal comptroller. We're in a transition right now since our comptroller has left for greener pastures of West Orange. But we want to provide some continuity as we bring on a new comptroller and finish up some things from fiscal 22 and then going forward.
Yeah, Council, just a little memo on that. We have already selected a candidate and we're onboarding them. This is for a 90-day transfer. So we spoke with the administrator over in Orange, and they understand that we're trying to close some stuff out with the prior director, and then we'll proceed with our new one. Definitely qualified. I think an accountant. We get your resume if you want to take a look at it.
Yes, we do. Any questions?
Okay, you guys, what are the core responsibilities of the comptroller?
Core responsibilities is maintaining the ledgers of the city. So it's the day-to-day debits and credits. As dollars come in, they're allocated to the right accounts. And then obviously with appropriations as they go out, making sure that they're charged to the right accounts. That information sent to the treasurer's office, who then either does the wire transfers or the bank statements.
Council.
Sure.
Good evening, Council President, Council members. I'm here to present three. The first two is 23-374, Agenda 10.3, and 23-376, 10.5. These two items are replacements for lost tax sale certificates. The lien holders have provided affidavits and paid the $100 fee as required by state statute. We will just be issuing duplicate certificates. The next one is Resolution 23-375, Agenda 10.4. This resolution is to cancel two tax sale certificates that were sold in error. Certificate 2021 is being canceled because the charges were canceled by the State of New Jersey Tax Court because they are an exempt entity. And the other one is 2019-1496, and those were lot cleaning charges that were issued on a mother lot. So it's an unbillable lot, so we have to cancel the charges based on state statute.
And one of them, they had tax liens on a nonprofit property.
Yes.
How does that happen?
So Ed
Goes all the way
assesses
in-
them, and I just collect them, and tax court appealed, they appealed it through tax court, so the tax court canceled it. So we have to refund the lien holder.
So what I'm saying is, how does that happen? Because to get to a tax lien, you have to miss 4 quarters of paying your taxes. So during the whole year, no one looked at this being because the money is not coming, so no one looked to see if maybe this was a nonprofit? That's what I'm saying. How does it happen? Does it happen commonly, or is it just something that we just miss?
I can't answer that because I didn't sell it. It was the prior collector that did that. But I look at the records, and if I see an issue where they're exempt, I contact the assessor. We go over it. And
This is something that's old.
yes. Thank you.
Has a resolution for performance mindset. Through the Enhancing Local Public Health Initiatives grant, we have funding to increase capacity of our staff. Performance mindset is a training entity. We put out an RFQ. I don't have all the details, but Paul walked out and I thought he would be back in time. To do training with 16 of our staff. Oh, Paul, performance mindset.
Thank you and good evening, council members.
Good evening.
This is training funded entirely by our Enhancing Public Health Infrastructure grant from the state. We've identified staff that are public facing, spend most of their time interacting with the public, and the training is aimed at both effective communications, being appropriately assertive, as well as since we're sending folks in work group teams, team building for better coordination. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Council President, Council members. I have one first reading ordinance in front of you. It's agenda number 3.3, ordinance number 23-049. It's an ordinance amending chapter 160, fees and charges, and chapter 316, tobacco products and smoking devices, to establish licensing requirements for smoke shops and tobacco shops. It also, importantly, it does set a cap on the number of licenses that are going to be allowed, and that's currently at 45.
Just want to appreciate the fact that you guys brought this forward. There's a lot of concerns in the community regarding the proliferation of vape shops and their sale of flavored vapes to children. And I want to thank you for bringing this forward, the health department and everyone that made this possible.
You said the cap was 45.
Yes.
So I guess the people that's open now will essentially have to apply for these licensing, correct?
Yes, they'll have 60 days to apply.
They have 60 days. So is the first 45 people, the first 45 entities.
You have to discuss that with the law department, if any of them will be grandfathered in, but I would say we're trying to get it close to that number.
No, I think everyone should go through the process but I'm just saying, because I know that there's more than 45, so I'm trying to see like how that's going to play out.
One point, there was a count of 45. I believe Paul in the health department.
It's 45 on MLK.
I don't think it's that many, but there are a lot. I agree with you. I wouldn't say there's 45.
You have 45 that are abiding by the law. That's it.
Yeah.
So I guess question, if we're only doing the 45 and we find that there's more than 45 existing smoke shops now, what happens to that business? Are we putting ourselves in some sort of liability if, they then would have to close, or how does that work?
Yes.
So at this time, we have noted, based on just names of companies that are out in the nether space, about 75 smoke shops. We've also noted, because Maynard's doing the registration, but most of the enforcement will fall under HHS or the Quality of Life Task Force, or in some circumstances, JCPD. There are many currently, including several that we visited over the weekend, that are not operating within standards that anyone on council would appreciate. So I think we'll start with all of them that come to us. They'll need a certificate of occupancy. We noted many do not have a certificate of occupancy. We've noted there's some zoning and planning issues related to that. We've noted alcohol in some of these locations, smoking inside some of these locations. So anyone with issues would have a difficult time registering with the Division of Commerce.
Is there any way, because it's 45, and I don't want all of them to be in Ward F, so is there any way we can have a cap on how many can go per ward? Not necessarily the actual footage like the dispensaries, but at least for the sake of the ward.
Sure, that could be added to the ordinance.
Please, thank you.
Good evening. Good evening, council. I have one item for you to consider. It's agenda item 10.43, resolution 23-414. And this is a resolution authorizing city to submit and accept a grant with the Hudson County Open Space for McGovern Park. The grant, the city would be responsible for the matching grant of $500,000. And we're looking to coordinate and take advantage of joining with the Morris Canal Greenway improvements and improving the playground and the active sports, baseball fields and pathways, rain garden, and of course, shade trees and other site amenities. Night.
Good evening, council, and I'm council president. The Division of IT has two resolutions for tonight. 1031, resolution 23-402. This is the resolution authorizing award to for a contract to Millennium Communications, amount of $56,401. This is for all the Cisco switches that we have on the city network, just an annual renewal. The next resolution is 10.32, resolution number 23-403. This resolution is awarding contract to Dell for annual support for the spatial data logic software, SDL, used by HEDC. The amount of $61,424.
I thought they're gonna move to Tyler.
Yes, they do need to renew for this 1 year, just to hold on to the records.
Do we know when Tyler's gonna be up and running?
Sure. It is scheduled to, the SDL is supposed to be cut off on 5/17. So Tyler should be in place by then.
Be ready.
Sorry.
That would be a question for Director Bernadette.
I understand that we have to renew now as we're doing the transition, but in 2 months, can we cancel the contract? I just want to make sure we're not locked in for the full year. We only pay for a couple of months if that's ultimately what we need.
We have to renew it for the entire year, just because it still has the records that are in transition.
Take us to do that.
Negotiate a month to month.
Okay,
Yeah,
that'd be
that
great.
doesn't make sense. That's,
Yeah, just, yeah, that'd be great. And then maybe does it make sense to do, at some point in June, a council update on Tyler and
Yeah,
it's a big change for the city and we want to make sure it's going well.
I know Anisi is working through the final stages of that. We talked about going live in June. So prior to any of that, maybe we could put together a PowerPoint and present it to the council at the next caucus.
Yeah.
Nothing too lengthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That'll be good. Thank you. Mike?
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Council President, members of council, Mike Manzella, Division of Transportation Planning. I have one ordinance and 4 resolutions to talk about tonight. The first one, the ordinance is item number 3.8, ordinance 23-054. It's an ordinance to vacate portions of West Side Avenue and Van Kuren Avenue. This is related to the NJDOT new road project. The council adopted resolution 22-661 in September in support of the project. At this time, NJDOT is looking to award a construction contract for contract number 2 for the new road project. And the last step is to vacate the portions of West Side Avenue and Van Kuren Avenue as identified in that last page of the resolution. Okay. The first resolution is agenda item 10.37, 23-408. I'll actually ask Eli to come up and speak on that one.
So the purpose of this resolution is to award a competitively bid contract to Sam Schwartz Consulting to provide consulting services for the development of a traffic calming toolkit. This study is funded by a grant received in the amount of $200,000 from the North Jersey Transportation Planning Authority through its sub-regional studies program. The goal of the study is to develop an updated set of traffic calming techniques and interventions to replace Jersey City's outdated guidance.
Quick question on that. Is the consultant going to specifically look at where maybe state law or state administrative processes get in the way of doing this and either present us with the option that avoids the state issues or maybe recommends changes to the state? Because I know sometimes we discuss changes that we think would be good and then ultimately says, well, the state regs say we can't do that or we have to apply for a waiver. So I just want to know to what extent he's just looking at national best practices or he's really tailoring this to the New Jersey legal landscape.
So we're definitely going to kind of look at a typology-based framework. So we'll have interventions that will specifically work on city roads. We'll also be working with our state partners. They'll be on our technical advisory committee, so we can find interventions that will also work on state roads as well through their legal framework. That helps.
Okay, next item is agenda item 10.38. That's resolution 23-409. This is a resolution rejecting 2 bids that were received by the city for a contract of a federal NJTPA local safety project, Oakland Ave at St. Paul's to install a traffic signal. The 2 bidders were deficient in some of the administrative paperwork for these bids. One of the bidders was determined by NJDOT not to meet a civil rights requirement. It was just a paperwork error. But the bidder has selected not to, go for a hearing for administrative reconsideration. So the plan is to reject the both bids and rebid again. Then the next item is item 10.39, resolution 23-410. This resolution is to authorize competitive contracting for consulting services in connection with the development of the Bergen Arches feasibility study. As you're all aware, at the last meeting, the council approved a resolution to enter into the grant agreement from NJDOT for the study. So this resolution will allow us to issue the RFP and award a contract to a consultant. And then the final one is agenda item 10.40, resolution 23-411. This is a resolution authorizing the award of a competitively bid contract to Port Imperial Ferry Corporation doing business as New York Waterway to operate the Port Liberté ferry services. As you're all aware, the state provided the city with a $4 million grant over 3 years. The council adopted a resolution to enter into the grant agreement at the last meeting. An RFP was issued, competitive RFP. The review committee met and recommends awarding this contract to New York Waterway. This would be a 3-year contract with the amount of the contract. Let me get that number real quick. $2,754,360 over 3 years would be covered by the grant. The vendor proposes a service that involves weekday service, so 5 days a week, 6 trips in the AM peak period, 6 trips in the PM peak period. The adult fare would be $8, which is a 40% reduction from the previous amount of the fare. The city would pay the vendor on a vessel service hour basis, capped at $900,000 for that first year. And the city's, with the additional money from the grant, is working on integration services with VIA as an opportunity to enhance transportation from the community to the terminal. Is also looking at other transportation options, including installing city bike stations, et cetera. And the vendor will be responsible to maintain the terminal building and dock, and will be staffing the building, installing a ticket vending machine at the terminal. And of course, folks can use their app to pay for their tickets.
Right, so you said, a grant is covering 2 point whatever million, for a 3-year period. What happens once that grant is used up, the prior 3 years, what happen?
So right now, the contract is only for 3 years. There's 2 options to renew for an additional year. Over the next 3 years, the city is going to work on looking for other sources of revenue, assess sort of the success of this program over these 3 years, and see if there is an opportunity to sort of sustain it beyond that time. But as of right now, there is no identified funding after those 3 years.
You said the price for adults was 8. What about kid prices?
I don't have it offhand, but I believe
4.
I think it was 4, but don't quote me on that. I'll double check. I don't know if actually Don LaLola from New York Waterways here. If there's any specific questions to Waterway, remember Don?
From New York Waterway. Is there a particular question? Oh, I believe the child fare is $4, and under 44 inches in height, I think they travel for free. We also have a bike pass, and we have a monthly pass, which dramatically reduces the cost of the single trip by about 20%. And the way this is structured, we basically break even on the service, not including our costs for maintaining the facility. And we hope to make something on the fare box. When we cease the operation, we're carrying about 100 people a day. Originally, we were closer to 300 or 400 a day.
Thank you. Thank you. Jennifer?
Good afternoon, Council President, Council members. I have one resolution, agenda number 1042, 23-413. This is a resolution authorizing the professional services agreement with WSP USA Inc. to address the latest DOT comments to finalize the plans associated with the Montgomery Street Local Safety Improvements Project, which is a federal grant project. No questions? Okay, thank you.
Good evening, Council President and Council. We have one for you here today. It's Resolution 23-412, and that's agenda number 10.41. It's a resolution authorizing an amendment to a professional engineering services contract with Colliers Engineering. This is for the Caven Point NJDOT project. It is $4 million state funded. So it's the 2 years of municipal aid funding that we received. The project is substantially complete. It's about 95% complete. But the construction administration did go over our very hopeful allotment of time. We were aiming to get it done in 150 days. It did go over that, and there were some unforeseen circumstances, such as additional drainage and soil testing. Also, the Jersey barrier supplies were delayed, so that kind of added some additional time. The original contract was $277,000 for the design and construction administration. Because of the additional unforeseen time and delays, they're asking for an additional $36,000, which we've, really had them sharpen their pencil and bring down, and I think is very fair. All right, thank you very much.
There's no one else? Okay. Great. Alrighty. So let me just change the camera. Apologize. All right, on to our first reading ordinances. Item 3.1, City Ordinance 23-047 is an ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 218, Multiple Dwellings of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Jersey City, New Jersey, to establish a right to counsel program for Jersey City renters. So council members, item 3.1 and 3.2 are basically replacing items 4.1 and 4.2. So once we do introduce 3.1 and 3.2, I'm going to ask for a motion for the council to defer to items 4.1 and 4.2 and make a motion to go right to defeat them because we'll be introducing two brand new ordinances. Any questions with that? Councilman Solomon, you have?
Oh, yep, makes sense.
Okay, great. And the rest of the first readings were covered earlier. So items 3.2 to 3.10 were covered on earlier. As I said, items 4.1 and 4.2 will be defeated at the meeting. Item 4.3, City Ordinance 23-040 is an ordinance authorizing an emergency appropriation, NJSA 40A:4-53. Item 4.4 was touched on earlier. Item 4.5, City Ordinance 23-043 is an ordinance supplementing 332 Vehicles and Traffic, Article 2, Traffic Regulations, Section 332-9, stop intersections to designate Halsted Street and Claremont Avenue as stopped intersection. Item 4.6, City Ordinance 23-044 is an ordinance supplementing Chapter 332 Vehicles and Traffic, Article 2, Traffic Regulations, Section 332-8, prohibited right turns on red signal to prohibit turns on red at all times at the intersection of Wayne Street and Grove Street westbound approach. Items 4.7 and 8 were touched on earlier. We'll also have a public hearing on the 2023-2024 Historic Downtown Special Improvement District on their assessment roll and budget. And then we'll have our regular public speakers. We have 19 so far. Any questions or comments on items, on petitions and communications, items 6.1 through 6.29? Hearing none. Any questions or comments on office communications 7.1 through 7.3? Hearing none, any questions or comments on reported directors 8.1? We have our claims list, which was attached to the agenda, and then on to our resolutions. Items 10.1 and 2 were touched on earlier. Excuse me, items 10.1 through 10.8 were touched on earlier. Item 10.9 is a resolution honoring Mr. Donald James Vogt Jr. on the occasion of the Dante Alighieri 2023 Man of the Year Award. Item 10.10, Resolution 23-381 is a resolution honoring the Questionable Engineering 9015 Robotics Team. Item 10.11, Resolution 23-382 is a resolution to support Camp Point Christ Hospital and its request for federal funds from the American Rescue Plan Act 31 CF Part 35. Items 10.12 through 10.15 were touched on earlier. Item 10.16, Resolution 23-387 is a resolution of the Municipal Council of the City of Jersey City referring an ordinance amending Chapter 84 of the Municipal Code to the Planning Board pursuant to NJSA 40:55D-64 and requesting a report identifying recommendations regarding changes to Chapter 345. Item 10.
Hold on,
Yep.
Can we discuss that one, or is someone here to discuss it? 1016. The new.
You had questions on it, Councilman?
Well, I think I did have one specific question and then one procedural question.
Councilman, I think Maynard was supposed to represent it. I guess he didn't.
Okay.
Should we table it or?
The one procedural question that I had, which we're learning about with, or I'm learning about with the development fees, as I understand the way that this referral to planning board works, is we'll make the referral in theory at the next meeting. They'll issue their recommendations. We can make changes and amendments to their recommendations, but if we want to make anything additional that they don't touch, we would then have to send it back to planning board. And so I thought maybe as a council, we'd want to review this and maybe make our any changes or things we want to consider before we give it to planning board. But I don't know the timeline, and I know other council members have been working on it. So I did want to, I'm open to different options with this, but.
If we can go ahead and move forward as is, because this is the smaller part of some of the larger changes we're looking at
Sure.
for the cannabis ordinance. But procedurally, we do have to send this because this is specific to
Right.
planning and zoning issues. So if we can just go ahead and move forward.
Yeah, I'm fine with forwarding it. The specific thing is I just want to understand practically how the cap was going to work. The section 8445BE, and then it lists the caps per ward, but it creates the exemption for licenses issued prior to this chapter taking effect. And I just want to understand what that meant. And so which licenses would be exempt and which would not.
I believe it's grandfathering in anyone who's already gone through the process, but I did have a question regarding the language, just because it says, give me 1 second to pull it up. It says a total of 48 licenses as the cap. It says, what is this, 8445B, subsection E, class 5 cannabis retail license, a total of 48 licenses with no more than 8 issued in the ward of the city, except that licenses issued prior to the chapter taking effect shall not count toward the ward limits or total limits. So that's a grandfather clause. Should a class 5 license's location be redistricted into a different ward than when it was issued, the license shall not count against the new ward's 8 license per ward limit. And my question regarding the verbiage is, we technically don't grant licenses. We grant we grant municipal approval. So that's where I got a little confused. If we could say just like maybe municipal resolution, or a total of 48 of the local approval resolutions.
Yeah, I think it's best that we have Maynard disperse a memo following up on this, and we'll make sure he's available on Wednesday if there's any questions prior to the resolution.
That the state is the one that's given out the licenses from what
Correct, and we're doing.
Yeah, and just to make sure it's clear, what my question to double back on this is to really be clear about that definition. So, if they could provide us a list of who in theory would be exempted from the cap, just so I know exactly who is or isn't exempted from the cap based on what's being considered. I know it'll come back to council and we may be able to amend further based on the planning board's recommendations to us. But I did just want to make sure I fully understood that before it went forward.
I would have Maynard and Matt Ward
that's
together on that memo because this came jointly from them.
Okay, yeah, I just was looking at the sponsored legislation, but we'll make sure the team's involved and we'll make sure it's disseminated tomorrow so we have some time to review it.
Yeah, Councilwoman, I can't hear your.
There are some words that would be over that number right now. So instead of backtracking someone who is given approval by the CCB and saying you were the last one, you now can't get in, it'll now go for the future. So they have to get their reapprovals and whatnot. So if they've already gotten approval, they're exempt from it. Anything new or coming up on that would not be.
Okay. Okay, council members, before I move forward, I do notice that Andrew Abrams is here. He's here for any questions or comments on item 10.46, resolution 23-417 is a resolution ratifying professional service agreement to Andrew C. Abrams, attorney at law in the state of New Jersey, to serve as the chief municipal public defender in Jersey City Municipal Court, in addition to performing his duties as a public defender for calendar year 2023.
Thank you. Good evening, Council, President and Council. Somehow I missed my spot. I apologize. I am here in support of 10.46 and 10.47 resolutions 23-417 and 23-418. As the city clerk just said, one, ratifying a professional services agreement to have me serve as your city's chief public defender in the Jersey City Municipal Court. And the secondary resolution appointing my 15 public defenders who are currently serving as holdovers and have them serve the calendar 2023. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you. Okay, just put the camera back. All right. Left off at 10.17, resolution 23-388 is a resolution appointing Councilperson Youssef Saleh as a member of the Jersey City Immigrant Affairs Commission.
I hope
Soon
you all
to be
support.
committee.
What's it?
His resume is attached to the resolution and redacted with his contact information. Okay.
Please don't table that because it means I will be stepping off of the committee. So I happily welcome my replacement here.
At least we can laugh a little. I
Vote for
appreciate
me.
that. Okay, next item, 10.18 was touched on earlier. 10.19, resolution 23-390 is a resolution, number one, introducing and approving the 2023 budget of the Journal Square Special Improvement District. And number two, directing the city clerk to publicly advertise the budget and schedule a public hearing. And number three, directing the tax assessor to prepare an assessment roll of the properties within the district based upon the budget. Just so you know, council members, we do them as they come in and first come, first serve. So Journal Square is up next. And next, 10.20, resolution 23-391 is a resolution accepting the assessment roll of the historic downtown special improvement district of the city of Jersey City. And 10.21, resolution 23-392 is a resolution adopting and ratifying the 2023-2024 budget of the historic downtown special improvement district of the city of Jersey City. Next is item 10.22, resolution 23-393 is a resolution authorizing the appointment of a deputy registrar of vital statistics and 4 alternate deputy registrars of vital records under the supervision of the city clerk. Council members, this is to help my office and to assist me when we have vacations and when people take off, so I can have not just myself, but my deputy registrar, but also 4 other alternate deputy registrars to issue birth, marriage, and death records and sign off on all 3 of those. The state has given permission to municipalities of the bigger size to increase their alternate deputy registrars. If you have any questions, I'll be sure to answer them. Hearing none, thank you very much on that. Item 10.23, resolution 23-394 is a resolution authorizing the award of Schulman and Wegman Associates to provide court reporting services during council meetings for the office of the city clerk. You all know what this contract is about. This is to have Tracy for hopefully another 20 years. I mean, the contract doesn't last that long though. All right, items 10.24 through 10.47 were touched on earlier. Item 10.48, resolution 23-419 is a resolution authorizing a lien against the properties listed herein, the cost of removing litter, debris, etc., in accordance with NJSA 40:48-2.14 and the Jersey City Code Section 287-4. Items 10.49 and 50 were touched on earlier. Instead of reading every one of these, I'm going to defer to Councilperson Prinzary from items 10.51 through 10.61. And she will also explain that there were 2 resolutions that were on the agenda, and that's where we had the little mix up on Gigi's resolution when she was up here. There was 2 resolutions that are going to be held for the next meeting, and the replacement, what I did was I moved them up, and we have the resolution that was supposed to make this meeting, which is item 10.64, resolution 23-435 is a resolution recognizing January as Muslim Heritage Month in the city of Jersey City. Councilperson Prinzary, would you like to just comment on items 10.51 through 61?
So this is recognizing some of our students that participated in the New Jersey State National History Day. We have 3 students from LCCS, 7 students from 17 school. This was the first time that 17 school students participated in this competition, so we're very excited about that. And then we also have one of the educators who was chairs the history club at 17 school. So we just wanted to take an opportunity to recognize our young scholars and, congratulate them for being the first to do this for their respective schools.
Sean, can you read
Yes.
all of them into the record for clarity, please?
Do you want me to do that?
Nobody.
No, he wanted to do that to me. It's okay.
We've got Isabella Stein, Ariel Forste.
It's okay. That's why I defer to you. But just so everybody understands, that's why we removed the other 2 and had the Muslim Heritage Month inserted in place. So just everything moved up and we wound up losing 1 resolution. And the last but not least, item 10.62, resolution 23-433 is a resolution authorizing a closed session of the municipal council on Tuesday, May 30th, 2023 at 10 a.m. to discuss ongoing litigation, Miguel Felice Rodriguez versus the city of Jersey City, docket number HUD-L2498-18, Leo Pinkston versus the city of Jersey City, docket number 19-13285. Any questions? Hearing none. If anyone else doesn't have anything to add, may I have a motion to adjourn at 5:39 PM?
Motion.
Motion made by Councilperson Saleh. May I have a second? Second by Councilperson Mira Prinzary. On the motion to adjourn at 5:39 PM, all council members present by acclamation, please say aye. We are out of here at 5:39 PM. Thank you so much, everyone who was here and still here, and everyone watching at home. Remember, teamwork makes the dream work. Stay safe. Have a great night.